Please, let's keep this between us. I don't want this getting out of the office. In return, I have a favor to ask. I've only had one wish. I'm Michael Johnson, a 48-year-old single office worker. I'm currently an assistant manager at a publicly listed advertising company. I spent the last few years caring for my father, who was seriously ill and passed away last year. Because of this, I haven't had any romantic involvement until now. But honestly, romance seems out of reach for someone like me. At work, a female coworker named Amanda keeps her distance from me. Even when she hands over documents, she avoids eye contact. Her manners are flawless, but I can sense she dislikes me. John, the male coworker who sits next to me, noticed this and said, "Amanda is beautiful, but seems rather cold." It's understandable. She probably looks down on someone like me who's no longer on the fast track to promotion. Amanda, with her rapid promotions, became an assistant manager at just 32. She's not only a career woman, but also actively involved in all the company events. The previous CEO hosted frequent drinking parties and golf tournaments, which I wanted to join. However, I struggled to coordinate with my home care nurse and missed out on these opportunities. The previous CEO didn't like me for this. He often remarked, "Michael, you're not sociable." Amanda, on the other hand, is amazing. Her dedication is admirable. I was stuck in my role while some of my peers moved up to director positions. It's embarrassing. Returning home, I faced more despair. My father, who managed apartment buildings, left me a large house. But it's now a mess, with old, unused furniture and appliances cluttering the space. I'm not good at housework and let it get dirty to this extent. I really need to do something about this. After searching online for a solution, I stumbled upon a home service website. The site promised that, for a fee, a helper would visit my house and handle tasks like cleaning and cooking. This seemed perfect for someone like me who struggles with housework. I immediately called the company and arranged for a helper to visit my house this Saturday. As promised, my doorbell rang on Saturday. Finally, I could say goodbye to my messy room. I opened the door only to freeze in shock. Standing before me was none other than Amanda. "Is that you, Amanda?" I thought it might just be a coincidence of the same name, but I never thought it would be you. Amanda looked just as shocked as I was, her eyes wide behind her glasses. Usually, she would be dressed in a sharp suit and fully made up, but today she wore a frilly apron, and even her minimal makeup gave her a young and cute impression, creating a stark contrast with her usual appearance. It caused my heart to race. Amanda in glasses looked really good. Oblivious to my inner turmoil, Amanda was sweating nervously. "Please let me in. I don't want anyone to see me." "Oh, right. Please come in." That's when I understood why she was so flustered. Side jobs were prohibited at our company. "Well, would you like some tea in the meantime?" "Thank you, but I must say I'm surprised. Who would have thought you were working a home service job?" "There is actually a reason." Amanda began to explain her situation after setting her cup on the table. "I come from a single mother family, and due to our financial situation, I had to take out student loans to get through college." "That sounds tough." "It would have been okay if I just had my student loans to pay off, but my sister, who's 10 years younger, just started private college. My salary alone isn't enough to support her, so I ended up having to take on the side job." "I see. Unlike me, whose livelihood is guaranteed by the rent income from a house my father left me, Amanda had no choice but to earn extra money. That's probably why she's always been working so hard. There was no way I could blame her." Amanda looked at me intently and opened her mouth. "Please keep this a secret from the company." "Well, I have a favor to ask in return." I had only one wish. I wanted Amanda to quit her job as a helper as soon as possible. Since we never know when the company might find out about your side job, I'd like you to stop taking new orders and come to my place once a week. You should quit this side job as soon as possible. You're expected to climb the corporate ladder, so it's not a good idea to walk on thin ice. You're right. I'm also planning to pay off my student loans by the end of this year, so I'm thinking of quitting my side job. I think that's a good idea. Anyway, I'm looking forward to working with you. She nodded and started cleaning right away. She made progress much faster than I expected, and by midday, the first floor was sparkling clean. Phew, I really wanted to clean the second floor and the storage room as well. No, this is more than enough. Thank you. I thought she would leave as soon as her scheduled time was up, but Amanda headed to the kitchen. What are you doing? In exchange for keeping my secret, I'll make some meals for you. With that, Amanda made a lot of curry and other meals for me using the ingredients in my fridge. You've done so much. I feel bad. Don't worry about it. See you next week. Saying this, Amanda always went home with her usual businesslike bow. The curry she made was delicious, and I was moved by the taste of homemade food after such a long time. And so, a strange relationship began between me and Amanda. Thanks to Amanda cleaning up efficiently every week, the house started to look cleaner and cleaner. Quite a lot of case supplies here, aren't there? She seemed surprised when new diapers appeared from the storage. Yeah, they are leftovers from when I was taking care of my old man. Michael, were you doing caregiving at your own home? I told her about how my father was actually suffering from a serious illness and how, despite getting help from a professional caregiver, there were times when I had to step in when the arrangements couldn't keep up, so I couldn't attend company events. Upon hearing this, Amanda fell silent immediately. Maybe I had made her uncomfortable again. I was worried about what to do, but then, as always, Amanda cooked for me. Tonight's menu was gratin and salad, and as always, the food was professionally done. Amanda, thanks for today. And I misunderstood you. Michael, I was taken aback by her unexpected words. Upon close inspection, her eyes were teary. What's wrong, Amanda? Despite being so busy with caregiving that you couldn't even join golf games, I had been rude to you without knowing any of these circumstances. I'm just so ashamed. As she started crying her eyes out, I felt flustered. I never thought I would see this cool woman cry. Calm down, Amanda. Let's sit down and have some tea first. After drinking some tea, she seemed to have calmed down considerably. You see, I'm small and look younger than I am, right? I often get underestimated because of it, so I was acting tough. I was even rude to you, Michael. I was so naive. From Amanda, who was tearfully speaking her mind, I could sense her honest and innocent personality. That was when I realized that I had misunderstood her as well. Sure, it's rare for someone as young as you to become an assistant manager, but you don't need to be so tense all the time. Everyone knows how good you are at your job. Is that so? Yeah, so relax. I know it's hard to take advice from someone like me, an assistant manager at this age. Oh, would you like to have dinner together? I proposed out of desperation to lighten the mood, and to my surprise, she accepted. Yes, I would love to join you. Whether it was a case of every cloud having a silver lining, we enjoyed our meal while chatting. I never dreamed we would become this close. After finishing dinner, when it was time for her to go home, Amanda again apologized for her past rudeness and bowed her head many times. It's okay. Don't worry about it. The past is not what matters. It's the future. Thank you. Amanda gave me a bright smile as she was leaving. Needless to say, my heart skipped a beat. From that day on, Amanda had a softer atmosphere about her at the office. She used to be rather aloof, but she started responding with a gentle smile. Seeing this change in Amanda surprised the other employees. Amanda seems to have suddenly become kinder, hasn't she? According to Amanda, the stress of having multiple jobs had been getting to her. But recently, during our meals together, she started consulting with me about her work. It seems that Amanda is applying our conversations for her own learning, and she said talking about it made her feel refreshed. Perhaps the stress relief brought some ease to her mind. Well, whatever it is, it's good. Do you think she's got a boyfriend or something? I wouldn't know. At John's words, I was taken aback. I felt I'm not a match for a promising woman like her. The moment I confronted this reality, I felt my mood darken. Before I knew it, while I was spending time with Amanda, I began to feel a special feeling. I think I was just a work colleague for Amanda. I might need to put some distance between us before my feelings for her get any stronger. A later event solidified this resolve. One day, John and I went out for lunch, and he started a conversation as if he suddenly remembered something. Yeah, right. Lucas said something strange at a drinking party with his classmates the other day. Lucas said something. Yes. Lucas happened to pass by Mel's house on his way home from a drinking party with a friend. A woman who looked like Amanda in an apron walked into Mel's house. Lucas was also drunk, so everyone was laughing because they thought they had seen it wrong. John laughed it off, but I was panic-stricken. The event I dreaded had finally happened. Right now, the story is still misunderstood, but we don't know when the truth will be revealed. If someone suspects a romantic relationship between an old man like me and Amanda, that would be truly pitiful for her. I decided to confront the situation, and on the following weekend, I told Amanda I'd like this to be the last time you come over. She seemed utterly puzzled by my words. Did I do something to upset you? Absolutely not. On the contrary, you did an excellent job. Amanda, the thing is, it seems our story is making rounds at the office. Our story. Yes, it's just an unconfirmed rumor for now, but you never know when the cat will be out of the bag. So, I think it might be safer for you to quit the side job at this point. But I think with this much, you'll probably have about a year's worth of salary. Saying this, I handed her an envelope full of cash. I can't accept more money than I've worked for. It's okay. You see, this is the money I got from selling the unwanted items that you helped clean out from the storage. Yes, we found a lot of items, such as jewelry my mother used to wear and bottles of foreign liquor from the storage. Thanks to Amanda's thorough cleaning, I was able to sell these at the recycle shop and make some money. Amanda stood silently, staring at the envelope. Besides, a promising lady like you shouldn't be spending time with an old guy like me. Let's use this chance to get back to how things were. Pardon. I don't want that. Amanda's tears in her eyes rushed into my arms. This was the first time I was ever embraced by a woman in my life, but the surprises didn't end there. Amanda, I love you. Michael. My mind went blank at Amanda's confession. Why would an exceptional beauty like her fall in love with a dull old man like me? Why would you like someone like me? Because, Michael, you always worry about me, even though I can be rude, and you always lend me your ear when I need to talk. Even if I quit the side job, I don't want to lose my time with you. Michael, I want to be by your side always. I never thought that she had such feelings for me. I opened my mouth slowly as I savored this moment of happiness. Thank you. I actually like you too, Amanda. I thought I should distance myself from you for your own good, but if you feel this way, I too want to be with you. Michael and I held each other tightly without saying any more. We were filled with happiness as we recognized our love for each other. We thought everything was resolved and breathed a sigh of relief. But a few days later, we were both called in by the company's boss. As we nervously made our way to the boss's office, he threw a question at us. I overheard rumors about you two. I wouldn't have interfered if that was it, but someone made an anonymous accusation about Amanda's side job as a home helper. I thought that Michael knew something about this matter, so I called you to my office. Michael and Amanda exchanged glances at the boss's words. I had heard a story about Amanda getting into trouble for stealing clients from her colleagues in the past. Perhaps this anonymous accusation could be the work of someone harboring resentment against her. Seemingly understanding there was no use in trying to lie her way out, Amanda admitted to her side job. Yes, you're right. I have been having a side job, she confessed. But why? Someone as talented as you, Amanda. She explained that she didn't take on the side job for personal gain. She did it out of financial necessity. Also, I bear responsibility, as I knew about it and requested her services. Please punish me as well, I added. Michael, the boss, paused for a moment to think, then spoke up. Actually, unlike the previous boss, I'm okay with employees having side jobs. I realize there are situations like Amanda's, and I've been thinking about revising the company rules. Of course, you won't get off scot-free. I'm going to need written apologies from both of you, but there will be no further disciplinary actions. I have no intention of leaking this. I expect both of you to continue working hard. Thank you so much, boss. Thanks to the boss's generosity, all we had to do was submit written apologies. The current boss had been in his position for about a year, and this situation made me deeply understand why he became the boss. Since then, Amanda formally quit her side job and devoted herself more than ever to her work. An unbelievable event occurred. A year into my relationship with her, I received an appointment from the boss to become a department manager. Me? A department manager. Yes, the previous boss seemed to value networking at parties and such, but I think personal character and job performance are far more important. You are a more outstanding and thoughtful talent than you believe you are. Thank you, sir. At the boss's words, tears welled up in my eyes. I had thought promotion was far beyond my reach and never dreamed that I could be appreciated by someone in this way. On the way home that day, I bought a bouquet of roses and a ring for dinner with Amanda. Will you marry me? Now that I had gained confidence in myself, that's what I wanted to tell her. How was that? Your subscription to the channel will be a great motivation for our production. See you in the next video.
Alright, everyone's presentations are done. Nick, the manager, said as he tried to move the discussion forward. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me and began to speak. There's apparently someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. His lackey, Mike, of course, agreed with Nick. I'm leaving. After leaving the meeting room, I started to shut down my computer. I noticed that an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking, there's no point in speaking up, no one will listen, I went home quietly. The next day, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. He was staring at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick? Is something wrong? Mike looked at the screen with him. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Knowing the reason for Mike's distress, I thought to myself, serves them right. My name is Adam. My mother passed away when I was in the 9th grade, and I was raised by my father. Well, you could hardly call it being raised. After my mother passed, my father changed. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol, and though he still went to work, he squandered our living expenses on horse racing. Because of that, I had to start working part-time as soon as I entered high school. Every month, I went to the convenience store with bills in hand that couldn't be auto-deducted from my father's account. Even though I endured it because I didn't want to be alone, I reached my limit in my second year of high school and dropped out. I found a live-in job at a distant inn. Thank you for everything. The day I left home, my father, still staring at the TV, spoke. Take care. That was our last conversation. Back then, 18 wasn't the age of majority, so I needed my father's permission to work, and I couldn't hide my place of employment. Yet, my father never visited me even once. I kept working just to survive, and before I knew it, I was 42. Years of hard work paid off, and I was transferred to the headquarters. I was thrilled to be recognized by the company, as I thought I'd be working in the field until retirement due to my lack of formal education. Listen up. Our work can change the future of our employees. Don't drag us down. On my first day after the transfer, Nick, dressed in an expensive suit, spoke sternly. There was a reason for this. Our inn was located in a prominent tourist destination, known so well that everyone in the state could sing its commercial jingle. At its peak, we had 5 locations within the state. But that was long ago. Due to financial difficulties and aging facilities, only the place where I had worked for many years and the original establishment remained. I was prepared to lose my job anytime, but now there was a glimmer of hope. With the rise of social media, the tourist area where the inn was located started gaining attention again. Depending on how hard the sales department, where I was transferred, worked, we could either thrive or be forced to give up this prime location to the new hotel chains continuously popping up. For Nick, who had switched careers from another industry to strengthen our sales, this was a battle he couldn't afford to lose. I understood why he had to be strict. I will do my best. Nick sneered at my enthusiastic declaration. Did you not hear what I said? I'm sorry. I thought I was listening carefully. Out of habit from years of customer service, I apologized reflexively, though I had no idea what had offended him. Someone was watching me with a smirk. In this department, there are those who are expected to excel and those who have been shoved here because they have nowhere else to go. You are the latter. It was Mike, the section chief. He's 7 years younger, at 35. But he was called to headquarters much earlier than I was and had been moving around within the headquarters ever since. I'm not jealous, but I can't accept that he's my boss. Graduating from a prestigious university, he has an unusually high pride and caused many problems as a newbie, making things very difficult for me when I was the front desk leader. When I found out Mike was transferred to the sales department a month before me, I was disheartened. Mike is right. With just a middle school diploma, there's not much you can do. Don't even think about achieving results. As if I didn't exist, Nick remarked, I'm thirsty. Mike eagerly ran to the coffee maker. It seems Mike is Nick's lackey. I regretted being happy about my transfer to headquarters, wishing I had stayed on site forever. Send a direct mail to every company on this list by the end of the day. Nick only assigned me tasks that even a new graduate could handle. What? There are over 1,000 companies. You want me to send to all of them by today? Yes, if you and your fellow misfits split the work, even those with nowhere else to go should finish by today. I glanced at the employees typing away expressionlessly. They were worn out from customer service, only thinking about leaving on time, or were women reassigned after having children, with zero motivation for work. Even Sam, a new graduate from the same university as Mike, who was supposed to be among the expected achievers, had no enthusiasm for the job, having joined the company wanting to do customer service. I don't care what they say, I plan to quit anytime, he said. Only Nick and Mike were highly motivated, making all the decisions between the two of them. I originally only wanted to work at the inn to survive and had no particular attachment to this job. I swallowed my words, thinking I had no right to reprimand them. About a month after the transfer, Nick told us with a frustrated look. To commemorate the 50th anniversary, we've decided to create a plan exclusive for one group per day. Originally, Mike and I were supposed to come up with it, but our president, Mr. Thompson, insists on hearing everyone's opinions. So, you all get a chance. As Nick explained, Mike began handing out prints. Make sure not to embarrass Nick. If your ideas are half-baked, you'll have to redo them. It seemed that they had printed his handwritten notes by Mr. Thompson, which included several questions and a section for free responses. It made sense why Nick had to seek our input, given that all responses had to be submitted to Mr. Thompson. We were given a week to think about it, and a meeting was scheduled to compile our ideas. My plan is to let guests enjoy both the old and modern America. Nick began the presentations. Guests would watch a master confectioner at a nearby traditional sweet shop make sweets in front of them. The welcome drink would be premium tea in a bottle. Nick's plan was certainly attractive. After his presentation, Nick called on us to present in the order we were seated. Just as I stood up for my turn. All right, everyone's presentations are done. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me. There's someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. He was likely talking about me. I joined the company as a part-timer and was made a full-time employee when I turned 20. That was 20 years ago, so Nick and Mike probably had no chance to know until recently. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. After that, Nick kept creating opportunities to solicit everyone's opinions, purposefully excluding me from speaking. The meeting unexpectedly heated up and went past the scheduled end time. A few people asked to leave, and the discussion continued with the remaining few. Still here? Normally, you'd leave in that situation. Though I had no attachment to the job initially, hearing kind words from customers made me want to make them happier. For someone like me, with nowhere to go, the inn was my home and customer service was my life. I felt pathetic about my current self. I'm leaving. I left the conference room and started shutting down my computer. I noticed an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking no one would listen to what I had to say anyway, I quietly went home. The next day, while preparing the DM as instructed, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. In his haste to stand up, he hit his knee on the desk. He stared at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! What's wrong? Mike, thinking he should be the first to rush over, approached Nick while still wearing his coat. He peered at the screen with Nick. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Who is responsible for this company? Nick, more irritated than ever, asked, and Mike answered without checking. Probably Sam. Sam wasn't there because he was attending a morning training session for new hires. Nick gave up on getting angry and returned his gaze to the screen. They were looking at an email that arrived right after the end of the working day yesterday. Apparently, no one, including me, had checked it before leaving. The email was from a large company that used us for their annual employee trips. The president and executives of that company also frequently used our services personally. President of the company, Mr. Mason himself, had declared that neither he nor his company would ever use our services again. Well, some companies cancel their employee trips or stop using our services due to financial struggles. Let's just move on. Mike kept wiping the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. Knowing why Mike was so agitated, I quietly watched their interaction. Do you know how much revenue we get from that company? We can find other guests to fill the rooms, but we'll lose the banquet costs, gift shop revenue, rental car fees, and more. Moreover, the gifts were supposed to be prepared by the traditional confectionery shop involved in Nick's proposed plan. If it's known that we incurred such a huge loss at this critical time, Nick's position in the company would be jeopardized. Nick took a deep breath, seemingly trying to calm himself. All right, Mike. Go to New York right now and apologize to Mr. Mason. What? You're coming with me, right? I have urgent work to do. I trust you, which is why I'm entrusting this to you. Please. Mike, believing Nick's sincerity, agreed with a determined look on his face, saying, yes. That's Nick for you. Even if Mike went to apologize, Nick would shift all the blame onto him if the client didn't change their mind. Well, it was Mike's fault to begin with, so it served him right. About 3 hours later, Sam answered a call from somewhere and repeatedly apologized, saying, I'm very sorry. Everyone watched to see what was happening. After ending the call, he informed Nick with a weary tone. When Mike arrived at the client's company, he only made things worse, further infuriating Mr. Mason. He was demanding, get his boss here immediately. It was no wonder Sam was exhausted, dealing with such a call right after returning from training. What is that idiot doing? All right, Adam, you're coming with me. If sacrificing Mike didn't work, then I must be next. Normally, I'd want to refuse at all costs, but I saw an opportunity in this situation. If I can be of assistance, I'd be happy to join you. I immediately followed Nick, and we flew to New York. When we introduced ourselves at the reception, it became clear how serious the situation was. As the receptionist personally escorted us to the president's office. Angry voices leaked through the door, making both Nick and me uneasy. Excuse me. I'm Nick, the supervisor. I understand my subordinate has caused you trouble, and I deeply apologize. Nick, with his experience in the corporate world, knew enough to offer an apology before excuses. However, his customer service skills left much to be desired. I sighed as I saw Mike trembling like a small dog in the corner of the room. What kind of training are you giving your subordinates? Mr. Mason glared at Nick with a red face. The intensity of his gaze made even Nick take a step back. Regrettably, I joined this company only 2 years ago and was unaware of Mike's issues. I should have identified his shortcomings sooner. Indeed. I should have realized sooner. No sensible person would come to apologize and then give a lengthy presentation on the drawbacks of not using their in. Nick froze, his mouth slightly open. Suspecting the worst, I picked up the documents that had fallen to the floor. It seemed Mike hastily prepared these documents on the plane, listing the disadvantages. Disadvantage 1: if you change the venue for the company trip, employees might suspect it's for cost-cutting reasons, leading to a negative impression. Reading it aloud half-jokingly, Nick snatched the papers from my hand and checked the contents with a furious expression. Among the stack of documents was a receipt from a nearby convenience store's copy machine. I felt a pang of dread, hoping he hadn't shown the receipt as well. What do you think he said when I asked what kind of nerve he had to do this? I'm very sorry. Faced with the dire situation, Nick must have thought there was nothing left to do but apologize. In a voice smaller than I'd ever heard from him, he uttered words of apology. He said, "I'm a Harvard graduate. I don't believe I said anything wrong." Mike! What have you done? Forgetting his plan to pin the blame on Mike, Nick yelled loudly, even in front of Mr. Mason. "I didn't do anything wrong." "You're still saying that? Look at him." Mike pointed at me with a shaking hand. "I was assigned to headquarters in my 20s and now I'm a section chief. This guy only made it to headquarters at 42. Everything I've done proves I was right. So why are we losing the contract?" Having said his piece, Mike collapsed to the floor. "Of course. You were sent there because you had nowhere else to go." Mike never expected to hear such words from someone he looked down upon. He lunged at me, and Nick hurriedly stepped in to stop him. "Mr. Thompson told me Mike is a quick thinker, and to take good care of him." There's no way he was pushed aside. "Don't make things worse here." "He didn't say quick thinker, he said only quick-witted, didn't he?" I don't remember that part." I recalled the many troubles Mike caused when he was a newbie. When Mike was on the front line, his pride was so high that he never apologized to customers. Customer service, especially in our job, doesn't work alone. It brings both good and bad situations. If the front staff or housekeepers made mistakes, or the cleaning company didn't properly clean a room, one had to apologize to the customers regardless of personal fault. Mike, in such situations, would never apologize, insisting he wasn't at fault. This often angered customers, and as the front desk leader, I frequently had to apologize on his behalf. He caused complaints and disrupted operations, which is why he was quickly moved to headquarters. In departments where he didn't interact directly with customers, his quick thinking was beneficial and things went well. But it seemed his flaws were starting to show. Corporate reservations are supposed to be entered into the system by the sales representative. But a quick check yesterday revealed that more than 10 items were missing from the client's reservation. The handover document clearly stated what needed to be prepared. Why didn't you enter it into the system? Why do we have to give them special treatment? Filling rooms near the banquet hall, setting up all the food in advance. Specifying the brand of wine, they're too demanding. No wonder he always angered customers, I thought, feeling a headache coming on. Grouping them in rooms near the banquet hall is for our benefit too. It makes it easier for the staff to set up beds and serve breakfast since everyone's schedule is synchronized. As for the other requests, Mr. Mason suggested them to lighten our load. I didn't know that. Nick finally seemed to realize that Mike was the one who had angered the client. What did you say to them? I just told them we wouldn't give them special treatment anymore. We shouldn't waste effort on things that don't bring in money. I was utterly exasperated at his lack of understanding of customer service. Of course, we shouldn't comply with unreasonable demands. But carrying over successful practices from past stays makes customers feel remembered and enhances their experience. Good memories encourage repeat visits. That's part of our job. I looked down at Mike, who was sitting on the floor. In our job, nothing is a waste. Mr. Thompson likely moved you to the sales department, hoping you'd finally understand this. How do you think he feels now that you failed to meet his expectations? Mike, tears in his eyes, fled the president's office. I was amazed he still hadn't apologized. You have it tough, Adam. It's okay, we're all employees of the same company. I deeply apologize for this disrespectful incident. Especially after all the care you've shown us. If it weren't for you, Adam, I really would have stopped staying here. When I heard you were moving to the sales department, I was willing to reconsider if you handled it. Seeing us talk so amicably, Nick's face contorted. Do you two know each other? Adam's service is excellent. I always requested him specifically. Normally, we don't accept specific staff requests, but we made an exception for Mr. Mason, adjusting my shifts accordingly. He had personally stayed at our hotel just before my transfer, and during casual conversation, I mentioned, I'm moving to the sales department soon. If I hadn't told him then, things could have been much worse. Please continue to take care of us. I look forward to it. On the return flight, Nick awkwardly offered me a can of beer. It's still working hours. Of course, I had no intention of forgiving him for a single beer. Nick might try to pin everything on Mike and avoid any consequences. While pondering this, a startling fact came to light. Nick, the tea bottles for the plan have arrived. I handed Nick a bottle labeled with our inn's name. They look good. What are you talking about? These are plastic bottles. I had assumed we would use the trendy, high-end bottling tea. But what arrived were ordinary plastic bottles of tea with customized labels. The only unique aspect was the label, which had the inn's name, making it look customized. Upon further investigation, I discovered that a substantial amount of money was set to be paid to the tea company. It was priced like bottling tea. Does this plastic bottle really cost $100 each? The tea inside is specially blended for us. The extra cost is for that. Wouldn't it be better to use another tea company? Or is there a specific reason we must use this one? As Nick continued to make excuses, I showed him a printed email. I informed the tea company's president, Mr. Mitchell, that we discovered irregular payments and he confessed. He said you two were high school classmates and planned to split the extra money. That idiot. Why did he confess? That's not important. You should worry about yourself, this could turn into a police matter. Opening the bottle cap, I suggested. How about calming down with this tea? It supposedly has a relaxing effect. Nick drank the tea frantically. In the following days, decisions were made about their fates. Mike was reassigned to the General Affairs Department, with no chance of transfer or promotion, as per Mr. Thompson's orders. As for Nick, since the payment to the tea company hadn't yet been made, he narrowly avoided legal trouble. Instead, he was encouraged to leave the company, and to avoid further complications, Nick submitted his resignation. Rumor has it that connections between HR departments have made it difficult for him to find new employment. Even though it was good to have those two gone, something unexpected happened in the sales department. Everyone became motivated and united in refining the 50th anniversary plan. In the end, my plan was adopted. We collaborated with the Tourist Information Center to provide personalized guides. The plan, tailored to the number of guests, was truly special for the 50th anniversary. Hey, is Adam's family coming to stay? I immediately booked that special plan for my family. Sam noticed it on the reservation list and quickly picked up on it. Yes, I'm inviting my father. That's great. I might invite my parents too. I lacked the courage to face my father just as Adam. But here, with the confidence Mr. Mason praised, I felt ready. The 50th anniversary plan was a perfect opportunity to reconnect with my father. I hoped to bring back the days when we could laugh together as we once did.